Today, we're venturing into the dense jungles and rice paddies of Vietnam to explore one of the most defining aspects of the Vietnam War: guerrilla tactics. How did a seemingly outmatched force manage to challenge a global superpower for so long? The answer lies not in conventional battlefields, but in the shadows, the tunnels, and the very landscape itself. The term guerrilla warfare means little war, and it's a strategy as old as conflict itself. But in Vietnam, the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese Army, or NVA, elevated it to a level of unprecedented effectiveness. Their core principle was simple, yet profound. Avoid the enemy's strength and strike at their weakness. They wouldn't engage in large-scale, head-on battles where American firepower was overwhelming. Instead, they chose the time and place of every engagement, turning the jungle into their greatest ally. Imagine being an American soldier on patrol. The air is thick, humid, and every rustle of leaves could signal danger. The enemy wasn't an army lined up across a field. They were everywhere and nowhere at once. A sniper could be perched in a treetop. A small squad could emerge from a hidden tunnel to launch a rapid ambush, and then vanish back into the earth without a trace. This was the reality of fighting a ghost army. The goal wasn't to capture and hold territory in the traditional sense, but to inflict casualties, disrupt supply lines, and most importantly, shatter the morale of the opposing forces. One of the most iconic and ingenious elements of this strategy was the vast network of underground tunnels, like those in the Cu Chi district near Saigon. These weren't just simple hiding spots. They were complex, multi-level subterranean cities. They contained living quarters, storage depots for food and weapons, command centers, and even hospitals. Entrances were masterfully concealed under trapdoors, in bushes, or within ordinary-looking village huts. For the Viet Cong, these tunnels were a lifeline, a way to move troops and supplies to launch surprise attacks from behind enemy lines, and to disappear completely when faced with superior force. American forces, dubbed tunnel rats, were tasked with the incredibly dangerous job of clearing these narrow, dark, and often booby-trapped passages. It was a terrifying, claustrophobic form of combat that perfectly illustrates the challenges of this unconventional war. Above ground, the landscape was just as treacherous, weaponized by the Viet Cong. The infamous punji stick traps, sharpened bamboo stakes hidden in pits and often coated with poison or waste to cause infection, were a constant threat. Tripwires connected to grenades or other explosives were strung across jungle paths. These traps were designed not just to wound or kill, but to create a pervasive sense of fear and uncertainty. Every step had to be taken with extreme caution. This psychological pressure was relentless, wearing down soldiers day after day. It turned a simple patrol into a nerve-wracking ordeal. Another key tactic was winning the hearts and minds of the rural population. The Viet Cong understood that they needed the support of the villagers for shelter, food, intelligence, and new recruits. They often portrayed themselves as liberators, fighting to reunify Vietnam and expel foreign invaders. They integrated themselves into village life, helping with harvests and living among the people. This made it incredibly difficult for American and South Vietnamese forces to distinguish between civilians and combatants. Any village could be a friendly resting spot or a hostile base. This blurring of lines created immense strategic and ethical dilemmas, leading to tragic consequences and further alienating the local population. The Ho Chi Minh Trail was another masterpiece of guerrilla logistics. It wasn't a single road, but a complex web of jungle paths, trails, and waterways that snaked through Laos and Cambodia. This supply route was the lifeblood of the war effort for the North. Despite years of relentless American bombing campaigns, the trail was never fully severed. Porters, many of them women and young people, worked tirelessly, often at night, to repair damage and keep supplies of weapons, ammunition, and food flowing south. Bicycles were reinforced to carry hundreds of pounds of cargo through the mud and over mountains. The trail's resilience demonstrated an incredible level of determination and ingenuity, constantly adapting to overcome the technological superiority of its adversary. Ambushes were the Viet Cong's signature combat tactic. They would study American patrol patterns, identify vulnerabilities, and set up meticulously planned kill zones. Using the classic L-shaped ambush, they could rake an enemy column with fire from multiple directions, causing maximum chaos and casualties before melting back into the jungle. These hit-and-run attacks were swift, brutal, and psychologically devastating. The enemy appeared, struck with deadly force, and then vanished, leaving behind confusion and destruction. This constant threat of sudden, violent encounters meant there were no truly safe areas. In the end, the guerrilla tactics employed in Vietnam demonstrated that warfare is not just about firepower or technology. It is also a contest of will, psychology, and adaptation. The Viet Cong and NVA turned their homeland into a weapon, using their intimate knowledge of the terrain and their deep connection with the people to counter a technologically superior force. They created a war without front lines, where the battlefield was everywhere. Understanding these strategies is crucial to understanding the outcome of the Vietnam War and the enduring lessons it holds about the nature of modern conflict. If you found this documentary insightful, please hit that like button and subscribe to History Unearthed for more deep dives into the events that shaped our world.